She was like, David, this song is too violent. You're talking about killing people in your music? No, not my son.
She was like, David, this song is too violent. You talking about killing people in your music? Not my son. Those were the haunting words from D4VD's own mother years before the world would discover just how dark things could get. She sensed something dangerous hiding beneath the fame, and shockingly, she was right. Behind the catchy hooks and smooth beats, he was laughing with friends, openly talking about Celeste's murder like it was nothing more than a joke. What once seemed like just edgy lyrics now sounds like a bone-chilling confession. This is the case that shook music, social media, and left even the most jaded fans stunned in September 2025.
So singer David is in some hot water. Previously, it was reported a dismembered body was found in the trunk of his car while he was on tour. Today, the dead body was identified as a 15-year-old who's been missing since she was 13.
David Anthony Burke, better known as D4VD, went from selling out arenas to being the face of a grisly homicide scandal. The nightmare began when the decomposed body of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was discovered stuffed inside the trunk of his abandoned Tesla. On September 8th, staff at a Hollywood tow yard reported a disgusting stench seeping from a black Tesla Model 3. When LAPD opened the frunk, the horror inside shocked everyone. Celeste's remains wrapped in plastic, rotting away for months. At first, investigators couldn't even tell how she died because the body was so badly decomposed. The report later suggested something even darker, that she may have been dismembered and left inside that vehicle since her disappearance in April 2024. Her identity was only confirmed days later through dental records and a small tattoo on her finger, the letters SHH. What made it more damning was that D4VD had the same exact tattoo in black ink, while Celeste's was red.
I got into music is super unorthodox. Like, I wanted to be a professional Fortnite player, but the videos I would post on YouTube would get copyright strike. I cried to my mom about it, and she was just like, well, if you're not making your money, how about you make your own song? And I was like, I could probably do that.
What was once a symbol of closeness now looked like undeniable evidence. Celeste had been reported missing multiple times, last seen alive in Lake Elsinore, California, before vanishing in spring 2024. Her family begged for answers, but instead they were hit with the unthinkable. Their daughter's body found in the car of one of the hottest rising stars in music. The story exploded online immediately. Within hours, hashtags like #JusticeForCeleste dominated X. Formerly Twitter and YouTube creators dissected every detail. One viral clip summed up the shock. So singer David is in some hot water. Previously, it was reported a dismembered body was found in the trunk of his car while he was on tour. Today, that body was identified as a 15-year-old who's been missing since she was 13. The disgust was instant. People couldn't believe that even while investigators circled him, D4VD kept performing on tour like nothing was wrong. What disturbed the public most wasn't just the discovery, it was his cold reaction afterward.
I had to make music on iPhone. I used my sister's closet as the studio. So I'm like, in here, it's dark. We got like robes and everything, blankets, whatever. And I'm looking up tight beats on YouTube.
While LAPD was bagging evidence and combing through the car, fans spotted him casually live streaming Fortnite, laughing and joking online. To many, that looked like pure arrogance, a superstar acting untouchable while a murder case unfolded around him. The internet went into full detective mode. Social media threads piled up with fans posting photos of Celeste allegedly spotted at his concerts after her disappearance, whispers about unreleased tracks where he mentioned her by name, and even Discord chats where people had been discussing her fate long before her body was found. Every new detail made the situation darker and made D4VD look even more guilty. Meanwhile, Burke was scrambling to protect his image. He locked down the comments on Instagram, axed certain tour dates, and sent out statements through his reps claiming he was fully cooperating with investigators. But for critics, that wasn't enough. The damage was already done.
She was like, David, this song is too violent. You're talking about killing people in your music? No, not my son.
What made this even more shocking was how fast his star had risen before September 2025. Just months earlier, Burke was being celebrated as the new voice of Gen Z heartbreak, dominating playlists with viral smashes like Romantic Homicide and Here With Me. His track, You and I, blew up instantly, 100,000 streams in only 3 days. Suddenly, Burke wasn't just a gamer making background beats anymore. He was being crowned as a breakout artist who had crossed into mainstream stardom. He even bragged in interviews about how simple his start was. I looked up how to make music on iPhone and I used my sister's closet as the studio.
The girl and David have matching tattoos on their hand. The mom of the girl recalls hearing from her that her boyfriend's name is David.
Fans loved that underdog energy until things turned dark. One moment now feels like a chilling warning. In an old interview, Burke admitted his mom hated romantic homicide. She told him straight up, "David, this song is too violent. You talking about killing people in your music? No, not my son. What once sounded like a funny parent-child disagreement now hits like a prophecy." So when talk of a confession started flooding Discord, TikTok leaks, and even concert clips, people believed it. The receipts kept piling up.
That was
For
impounded
sure,
right here in Hollywood.
evidence.
No way.
That's for sure evidence. If it's a body found in there, that's for sure.
And obviously his, his DNA is going to be in it and her DNA is going to be in it.
Is he arrested
Let's just
yet?
keep it straight.
Is he
Not
ar-
yet.
But this
A video surfaced from his August 24th, 2025 show in Maryland, where Celeste was allegedly seen in the VIP area, despite being listed as missing at the time. The footage even showed Burke sending heart gestures in her direction. Days before her birthday, he dropped an album announcement with the title Withered. Fans didn't miss the symbolism, and detectives didn't either, especially as they raided a Hollywood Hills property tied to him, seizing computers and what might have been blood evidence. Social media detectives went into overdrive. Every lyric, every tattoo, every timeline was pulled apart and pinned into threads accusing him of murder. Whether it was fact or pure speculation didn't matter. The public already saw him as guilty. Songs once seen as metaphors for heartbreak were now read like confessions. This wasn't just about a body in a Tesla anymore. It was about blurred lines between music, obsession, and tragedy. But as the case unraveled in September 2025, one question kept haunting everyone. How could a girl be missing for so long and nobody connected the dots? To answer that, detectives had to rewind almost 2 years before her body was found. In January 2024, Celeste ran away from home in Lake Elsinore for the first time. Police tracked her down in the Hollywood Hills, the same neighborhood where D4VD lived. She was returned to her family, but that incident now raises chilling questions. Why did she flee 70 miles away to that exact area? Who was she meeting? Her parents thought it was just teenage rebellion, but looking back, it was the first thread linking Celeste's world to his. Then came April 2024, the last time anyone saw her alive. Her brother said she vanished while supposedly on her way to the movies with him. Flyers went up, local outlets covered it. The Riverside Sheriff's Office opened a missing person investigation, but the leads dried up almost immediately. Her mother later revealed Celeste had a boyfriend named David. At the time, it didn't raise alarms. David is a common name, but after September 2025, that David became undeniable. It was him. D4VD exclamation mark. The most damning blow came just weeks before the body was found. In August 2025, photos popped up online showing Celeste in the VIP section of his Silver Spring concert. She had been missing for over a year, but witnesses swore they saw her, and not just alone. They claimed she was with Burke's own brother Caleb, who fans know online as Steve Lev. One video even showed Burke flashing heart signs directly at her. If that's true, it means not only was Burke in contact with Celeste during her disappearance, but his family may have known all along. It was details like these that pushed the public to see the case not just as a tragedy, but as a full-blown cover-up. On September 18, 2025, just days after Celeste's body was officially identified, LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division stormed a Hollywood Hills mansion tied to Burke. Detectives seized computers, bags of clothing, and what insiders said could be blood evidence. Neighbors described hours of searching, officers scouring every inch of the property, even hinting that security cameras might have caught something explosive. This was the turning point. No longer whispers online, but a crime scene investigation that screamed something darker. The same house once linked to music sessions and star-studded parties was now wrapped in yellow tape, and the fallout was immediate. Burke abruptly canceled the rest of his U.S. tour, ditched a $20,000 a month Hollywood Hills lease, and watched as big brands like Crocs and Hollister dropped him overnight. But what really enraged people was his behavior. While Celeste's family was planning a candlelight vigil in Lake Elsinore, Burke was spotted live-streaming Fortnite like nothing had happened. Fans were disgusted. One post on X went viral. How can he play games while the body of a child was found in his car? The contrast was sickening. Just a year earlier, Burke was being hailed as the voice of Gen Z R&B. Now he was being painted as a manipulator, a predator, maybe even a killer. And when the court hearings started in Los Angeles, the outrage exploded. Journalists described a disturbing scene. Burke strolling in with the same stage swagger he once used to charm fans instead of showing even a shred of remorse. Reports claimed he joked with his entourage, rolled his eyes during testimony, and even laughed while prosecutors described Celeste's decomposed body being discovered in his Tesla. That image burned into the public's mind. The young star who once inspired kids from their bedrooms now smirking at the horror tied to his name. Just 2 years earlier, he was celebrated as a prodigy, the kid who turned gaming montages into platinum hits, recording in his sister's closet before collaborating with stars like Kali Uchis, a supposed role model for creative Gen Z dreamers. But now every accolade, every lyric, every tattoo was re-examined under suspicion. Even his biggest fans admitted they couldn't hear his songs without seeing Celeste's face, or that haunting SHH tattoo. The story had shifted. This was no longer about art, it was about morality. Were his heartbreak lyrics actually hidden confessions in plain sight? Or was the world projecting murder onto music that was never meant to be real? And as anger spread online, the spotlight turned to the most burning question. What was his relationship with Celeste? Was this just an online friendship that spiraled into obsession? Or something more sinister? Investigators retraced every step, and one disturbing pattern kept resurfacing: Celeste's deep connection to David Anthony Burke. The world knew him as D4VD, but to her he was just David. According to one of Celeste's former teachers, she first met him online around 2022 or 2023. She was barely entering her teenage years, somewhere between 11 and 13, while Burke was already pushing 17 to 19 factorial. She described him to friends as a rapper in LA, a mysterious older figure far away from her quiet life in Lake Elsinore. Family later confirmed that by the time she turned 13, Celeste was openly saying she had a boyfriend named David. Her mom admitted she never met him in person. To her, David was just a name. But to the world, that name would soon become infamous. This was the first glaring red flag, a secret digital relationship with a massive age gap hidden completely from responsible adults. And it didn't stop there. The physical tokens of their connection made the story even more disturbing. Both Burke and Celeste bore the same SHH tattoo on their right index fingers, hers in red, his in black. Fans later dug up old photos showing exactly when Burke revealed his tattoo, and the eerie match sent chills down spines. This wasn't just coincidence, it looked like a pact. Then came the music. Burke's songs began sounding less like heartbreak ballads and more like coded confessions. An unreleased demo track, literally titled Celeste, included lyrics about a runaway girl. Run away from home. All in the name of love, she run into my loving arms. Critics would later slam it as manipulative, even grooming hidden in plain sight. The obsession didn't stop there. Burke admitted his 2025 album Withered was completely inspired by Celeste, and fans discovered that some tracks even contained her actual voice layered into the soundscape. That detail blurred every line between muse and victim, love song, and crime scene soundtrack. But the internet receipts went way beyond music. On Discord servers tied to Burke's fanbase, users were already gossiping about a girl named Celeste as early as 2022. Screenshots allegedly showed chat logs linking her romantically to Burke. Moderators later deleted much of it, but the rumors stuck. Some thought she was 18 or 19. Others insisted he knew her real age the whole time. Even TikTok had warning signs. In January 2024, Burke posted a clip tagging an account that matched Celeste's exact birthday, replying to a fan comment with, "Should we?" At the time, it came off as playful, but in hindsight, it reads as chilling. Evidence wasn't just piling up in police reports, it was hiding online the entire time, pieced together by fans, Reddit threads, and amateur investigators. Celeste's own brother admitted he suspected she was secretly dating Burke, yet no adult intervention ever came before her disappearance in April 2024. The whispers grew darker with allegations that Burke had been paying Celeste's family hush money, as much as $10,000 a week, to turn a blind eye to their relationship. While never confirmed, the rumor alone fueled massive outrage online. How could a girl so young be left exposed while adults allegedly cashed in? And when Celeste's remains were identified in September 2025, her parents' strange behavior only raised eyebrows further. Neighbors reported they disappeared from their home for days, refusing to answer the door, leading some to wonder if guilt or fear of exposure kept them silent. By the time her body was found in Burke's Tesla, the narrative was already cemented in the public's mind. Burke had groomed her, lured her from her home, and used his fame to trap her in a secret life she couldn't escape. What began as a teenager excited to chat with a famous musician online spiraled into a dangerous hidden relationship, marked by tattoos, lyrics, Discord leaks, and whispered sightings. And tragically, that secret would end in horror. The most jaw-dropping revelation came in August 2025, more than a year after she had vanished. Photos surfaced showing Celeste standing in the VIP section at one of D4VD's concerts in Silver Spring, Maryland. And she wasn't alone. Right beside her was his brother Caleb, better known to fans online as Kleb. Witnesses swore that during the Silver Spring performance, Burke flashed heart signs straight at Celeste from the stage, a gesture that would come back to haunt him forever. That sighting in Maryland became the smoking gun, undeniable proof she was still alive long after she had been reported missing. But it also sparked chilling questions that tore through his fan base. If Celeste was missing, why was she openly at his shows? And why did his own family appear complicit in keeping her hidden? When those images started circulating online, Burke and his team had almost nothing to say. The silence only fueled suspicion. Investigators and the internet quickly realized that people in Burke's inner circle might have known far more than they admitted. His brother Avilev made things worse when he abruptly deleted his TikTok account right after the news broke. Fans instantly connected the dots. Was he covering his tracks? For years, Discord mods and concert staff brushed off Celeste talk as fan gossip. But once her body was found in his Tesla, those same whispers transformed into prophecies that had been ignored too long. By late summer 2025, just weeks before the Grizzly Discovery, the boundary between Burke's music and his secret life had blurred completely. Some fans desperately clung to the idea of coincidences, but for most, the truth was crystal clear. These weren't metaphors anymore, they were confessions. Celeste's presence wasn't hidden. It had been in plain sight the whole time. By the time she vanished for good in April 2024, what started as online whispers had already turned into a dangerous secret. Her family filed missing reports, but behind closed doors, ugly rumors swirled that Burke had been sending as much as $10,000 a week to keep mouths shut. Whether those payouts really happened or not remains unconfirmed, but just the idea that adults could have looked the other way for cash sent public outrage through the roof. Once Celeste's remains were found, speculation about those final months grew darker. TikTok users pushed claims that Burke had paid off other minors, suggesting this wasn't an isolated case but a disturbing pattern. Others alleged Celeste may have become pregnant, sparking fights between her and Burke. None of this has been proven, but in the chaos of social media, theories spread like wildfire. Fans argued over every possibility. Maybe jealousy drove him, maybe she overdosed and he panicked, or maybe it was something far more deliberate. But no matter the theory, one belief united them all. Celeste's death was not an accident. The darkest speculation painted her final months not as a runaway's adventure, but as a nightmare. A teenager trapped in the orbit of a rising star with enough money, fame, and power to keep her hidden from real scrutiny. On Reddit, one user even pieced together a brutal timeline, showing how Burke's career milestones overlapped with Celeste's disappearances, sightings, and missed moments. By September 2025, when her remains were finally pulled from the trunk of his Tesla, everything snapped into terrifying focus all at once. The tattoos, the lyrics, the sightings, the silence, the family ties, even his own brother's involvement. For many, this was no longer the sad tale of a runaway girl. It was proof of grooming, obsession, and an industry that looked the other way until it was far too late. The contrast was unbearable. Celeste's young life ended silenced, hidden in the trunk of a car, while Burke performed in sold-out arenas, releasing songs that suddenly sounded less like art and more like confessions screamed in plain sight. By the time police confirmed the body was Celeste's, the truth was unavoidable. Their friendship was no mystery anymore. It was the central tragedy. What started as innocent DMs had twisted into something horrifying. A romance blurred with exploitation, music blurred with evidence, and a future cut short in silence. The discovery didn't just rock Los Angeles, it sent shockwaves through the entire music world. Overnight, what began as a grim investigation in the Hollywood Hills exploded into an international scandal, tearing apart the image of Gen Z's so-called mysterious hitmaker. Fans who once poured their hearts into his melancholic tracks were now forced into a brutal reckoning. Those same lyrics they once cherished were suddenly dissected like crime scene clues. On TikTok, videos of his songs resurfaced, but instead of heart emojis, fans circled lines and timestamps as if solving a case. On X, #JusticeForCeleste trended for days, while his YouTube comments turned into digital memorials, a mix of mourning for Celeste and rage at the man behind the mic. Reddit threads ballooned with timelines, screenshots, and old fan interactions, all reinterpreted under a chilling new light. The industry itself didn't hesitate to cut ties. Hollister yanked their campaign featuring Burke, Crocs ended their collab overnight, and other brands quietly scrubbed him off their socials as if he never existed. Venues dropped him mid-tour, ticket holders demanded refunds, and his $20,000 a month Hollywood Hills lease was shut down almost immediately. His empire collapsed brick by brick and fast. But the real damage wasn't money. It was cultural. The very fan base that made him a star fractured in two. Some clung to denial, insisting it was all circumstantial, a witch hunt against a young artist. Others accepted the darkest truth, that Celeste's story was written into his music all along. For them, playlists became funeral rites, every stream of his voice a reminder of her final moments. For Celeste's family, the aftermath was even heavier. When her remains were identified, neighbors said their house sat dark and silent for days, blinds drawn. When they finally spoke, it was only to demand justice, to remind the world their daughter was more than a tattoo, more than a headline. Their grief stood in sharp contrast to Burke's arrogance in court, and that only fueled more public fury. Court gave people facts, but social media gave them theories, and those theories spread faster than any official report ever could. TikTok, Reddit, and Discord turned into breeding grounds of speculation, each one darker than the last. Even his own fans started rewatching his old videos, pointing out actresses who looked eerily like Celeste, convinced that the signs had been there all along. On Reddit, users pieced together an entire timeline, matching Burke's career highs against Celeste's disappearances and sightings. They argued his music wasn't just inspired by her life, it was documenting it. What once sounded like wild conspiracy suddenly looked terrifyingly possible when you laid it all side by side. The matching tattoos, the concert sightings, the Discord leaks, the unreleased songs carrying her name. It all painted one chilling picture of a secret no one wanted to believe. For many, the question wasn't if Burke was involved, it was how deep the involvement went and who else around him had knowledge. That speculation transformed the trial into more than just a criminal case. It became a cultural autopsy. Fans weren't only examining Burke's behavior, they were dissecting the entire machine of fame, asking how a rising star could carry such a dark secret under the spotlight for so long. Every rumor, every theory felt like another layer of rot being peeled back from a story too horrific to ignore. By late September 2025, the LAPD was under crushing pressure. The world wasn't just watching a scandal, it was watching what many believed to be the unraveling of a carefully hidden crime. Detectives had already raided Burke's Hollywood Hills home, seizing electronics, clothing, and bags that may have contained blood evidence. They were combing through his devices, searching for DMs, texts, and emails that could prove how long he had been in contact with Celeste and whether her disappearance had been premeditated. Even his Tesla was a potential witness, a rolling computer storing GPS routes, door openings, even driver profiles. Investigators knew that cracking that data could give them a minute-by-minute timeline of where the car had been and possibly who was behind the wheel. But despite the gruesome discoveries, there was still no immediate arrest. That decision outraged the public. On X, waves of commenters accused LAPD of protecting Burke because of his celebrity status. Others argued detectives were just taking their time to build an airtight case, one that defense lawyers couldn't dismiss as sloppy. Yet even with evidence stacking against him, the car in his name, the tattoos, the lyrics, the sightings, massive gaps remained. The medical examiner still couldn't confirm a cause of death. Was it murder, overdose, something else? Without that answer, prosecutors faced a dangerous balancing act. Could they charge him with murder, or would they be forced to settle for lesser counts like obstruction or concealing a body? And the spotlight widened beyond Burke himself. His brother Caleb, seen with Celeste at the Maryland concert, was suddenly a figure of suspicion. Why did he delete his TikTok account immediately after the news broke? Why had moderators on Burke's Discord allegedly been ordered to wipe conversations mentioning Celeste? These weren't harmless details. They hinted at a possible network of people who knew far more than they ever admitted. Even Celeste's own family wasn't immune from whispers. Neighbors gossiped about their disappearance from the house in the days after her remains were identified. And those rumors of hush money payments, $10,000 a week to keep quiet, hung in the air like smoke no one could clear. Whether true or not, the idea alone enraged the public. Could adults really have looked away while a child was pulled deeper into danger? And then there was Burke himself. Despite everything, the body in his Tesla, the raids, the evidence piling up, he stayed defiant, smirking in court, streaming Fortnite, acting like nothing had changed. For many, this wasn't just arrogance, it was the behavior of a man who thought fame could shield him from justice. The questions hanging over the case were chilling. What's next for D4VD? Would prosecutors finally link him directly to Celeste's death? Or would the trial drag on, lost in theories, speculation, and the blurred line between art and reality? Would more victims surface, hidden in the shadows of his rise to fame? Or would the system fail, leaving Celeste's story to fade as another unsolved tragedy? Fans, the industry, even society at large were left grieving more than just a girl. They were grieving lost innocence, lost trust, and music they could never hear the same again. For Celeste's family, the pain was unbearable. For Burke, the stage lights were replaced by courtroom spotlights, where every lyric, every tattoo, every live stream could become evidence in a case that might define him forever. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about this case? Was D4D hiding confessions in his art all along, or is the public twisting his lyrics into something darker? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update on this shocking story.